Happy feast day, my people. Beautiful thing, God gathers a people together and says, I care about you. And I care about you being together, and I desire to work my good through you. When I was on retreat a couple of weeks ago, I received a message from the Lord. The charismatics will call a word. And the word was this, the benevolent one. I took this as a title of God, Lord, the benevolent Lord. So God is Lord of all things. He made all things. And the benevolent Lord is the one who cares about all and works for the good of all and has a deep kindness in his heart towards all of us and all the creatures he has made. This benevolent Lord. And for me, it was a message that says basically, stop being so stressed about stuff. I am Lord, I'm caring, I am good, and I want to work in your life. So one of the great expressions of God's care for us is calling us into his church. Where would we be without the church? Now, I know in the present day, often the church is an object of ridicule or criticism or attack, and sometimes legitimately, but it's our feast day, and so it's good that we actually take a look at the big picture of the church, the essential nature of the church, and all of those practical gifts that we receive through the church of Jesus Christ. So number one is simply through the church, we have come to know that there is a God, and he is a loving God, and he desires to share his life with us. And this is a transformative gift. So many in the world live without any real sense of anyone higher than themselves caring for them, or any love poured out upon them by the divine, or any hope of a life beyond the grave. We are the fortunate ones who've been granted this fundamental insight. There's a God, he's a loving God, and he wants to share his life with us. There's so many deep blessings, fundamental blessings, practical benefits that we receive for our life through the church. So who wants to tell me one of them? Who's got one? Rob, what's one benefit that we, or you, receive from the church? Anything?
Community.
Community. So we want to talk about that in a minute, because we want to talk about the parish in a minute. But of course, community is fundamental. One other great gift. Sandra, what's the Lord give us to the church? Anything will give you.
Sense of purpose.
A sense of purpose. That's a big deal in life. How easy it is to think that basically we live in order to get something to eat, to go to Vegas twice a year, once a year. To actually say, I belong to something that matters, and I'm here for some reason that is absolutely kind of out of this world. It's a great one. Purpose for our life, meaning in our life. What's another thing that we get from the church? Another thing that's taught. You know, so many things. What's one thing that we get from the church, other than community, God, and all the other things we need? Yes?
Faith and more support from the church.
Support. So support, one of the big areas of life we need support is when things are hard, where are you going to go to get support? Where do you go to get comfort? Where do you go to get encouragement? The church is a fundamental source of support for us, through our friends, and through the living God, when things are hard, and life often is hard. It's part of the reality. How many in the world really don't know where to go when things are hard? Hopefully they got a buddy who can talk to them, but even buddies don't always understand the hurt of your heart. And after that, what do? Sometimes you just try to avoid talking about it and hope it goes away. But that's not really adequate in life, and the Lord knows that. He provides the church to say, okay, we're in this together. We're not gonna be defeated, and I am triumphant, Lord, and I've invited you to share my triumph. So many beautiful gifts that the Lord gives to us. Here's another one. Gardens?
Guidance.
Oh, guidance, sorry. We got great gardens. That is also really big. We thank Peter Chia for that. So Peter was the one who did all the great roses. Guidance is a big deal. The Lord, through the church, gives us fundamental and basic values that shape our decision making. The Lord, through the church, teaches us what is good and what is true. And these are essential for us if we're going to, with confidence, make good decisions in our life. Without them, how do you actually decide what's good? I think the default position in the world is basically, I'll do the best I can when it comes up. Okay, well, I'll just do the best I can. We are blessed in receiving kind of fundamental values, so we know this is good and that is not good. This is true and that is not true. It doesn't mean we always follow them with great faithfulness, but we know we have this foundational sense of how do I make good decisions? Here are guidelines for my decision making. Guidance, a big deal. A sense of ourselves as beloved children of God. So our identity in life is a really big thing. Who am I? Who am I? And we, Christians, have been taught and fully believe that I am a man made by God, loved by Him, and that therefore, in the end, all things will be well. My identity, your identity, is rooted not in your own personal decision, it's rooted in the gift of the God who made you. You are a man made by God, a woman made by God, loved by Him, and nothing is going to take that away. There is really very limited capacity for us to invent an identity for ourselves that is sufficient simply from, the clothes I like to wear, the music I like to listen to. In the world, often people are reduced to defining themselves by their externals of their life that they happen to prefer at that time. It doesn't do you a lot of good, frankly. It doesn't really help you a lot because you made it up yourself. Making up your own identity is a weak position. How much better it is to know whatever I feel about myself, He feels and knows I am His child. And I am beloved. Identity is meant to be a source of strength for us, not simply a personal search. No, we know this as foundational. I'm a child of God, and nothing can take that away from me. A great source of strength for our days. So we mentioned at the beginning, fundamental gift that comes to the church is community. And community, in a very practical sense, often is associated with local community. So our community of faith within the parish. And to belong to a parish, to belong to community, is a fundamental source of strength for our days. We live in a very individualistic age. So people often very much focus on my choice, what I want, I'm going to do it. That it's very much focused upon me, my preferences, the details of my life. But that's not adequate for the human person. Human beings are communal. One of the challenges we know in the present day is there's a lot of lonely people out there. You read it in the newspaper, this is a big kind of crisis, particularly in urban society in the Western world. Many people are lonely. Why? Because they don't feel that they really belong. They don't have a community of belonging. And human beings were meant to have a personal dimension and a communal dimension. The church is the great guardians of this truth. That we're going to grow, we're going to be stable, we're going to know we're loved because we belong to a community that supports us in this. At times we can take the church for granted. So those of us who grew up outside of the Catholic Church, For those who grew up outside of any church at all, when they come into the Catholic experience, they start to realize, whoa, this is pretty important. This is a big deal. I grew up in a church as a Baptist in Victoria. If you want to see it, you can, if you're going to Victoria for a visit, which I highly recommend, is go there. Driving in the ferry driving between the ferry and the city, you pass a big lake. That's Elf Lake. You ready to be in? Hello. Hello. Oh, my Lord. So just when you start past the lake, there's a little tiny church there. It used to be called Church by the Lake. I don't know why. But anyway, that's what it was called. That was my church. That's where I grew up. Less than 100 people in that entire congregation. 100 people. It's kind of like that many. But no, less than that. You kind of, that's right. You're about 100. That was the entire church. We were Baptists, but we actually had very little to do with any other Baptists. Indeed, in Victoria, there were at least 2 or 3 other kinds of Baptists, and we had nothing to do with those Baptists. I don't remember why. Coming into the Catholic Church, I came to understand really why community is part of the universal saving work of Jesus Christ. It's not actually just about me and my buddies or my 100 co-religionists. It's actually about a vast community that is rooted in shared understandings. My Baptist church, we never read the creed. We had one sacrament, only baptism. We had no leadership beyond the minister himself. We did not therefore have great stability of belief. And if we left that congregation to go somewhere else, there really wasn't anywhere to go except let's try to find something else that suits me. The Catholic experience is a wonderful, wonderful gift because it is so solid, because it is so enduring, because it provides for all of our needs. And we need to be deeply grateful for it. So today is our feast day, and it's a great day to say, Jesus, thank you for gathering me into your church. Where would I be without it? And to know that we're talking the truth, it's not an empty platitude, but look and see, where else are we going to go to get what we need outside of the church that God has provided? So many fundamental human and spiritual needs that are going to be supplied only within the church. So let us be grateful on this day to say, thank you, Lord, you've gathered me into a church, you've gathered me into a parish community, because you care about me, because you are a benevolent Lord, because you know what's going on in my life, and you want to provide for my needs with great kindness, great effectiveness. Happy Feast Day. Jesus is Lord.